Call of Duty by any chance? Because it looks like you do.
Well, definitely have had these for a while. So nice to have good audio when you're broadcasting and talking all day.
So yes, we're gonna go. We are live right now, and hello, everyone. GM. Welcome to this new stream of Spheron, where we cover all about AI agents, swarm, compute, GPUs, and all around why the whole wave has just swept everybody into this market, and has been an amazing sight to see. And I'm gonna welcome all of the guests today. We have some amazing people from all around the world. We have Prashant from Spheron, we have Azzy from Zo, we have Lukas from Nillion, and we have Ron from Theoriq. Welcome, guys. Welcome to the stream. And in this
Great to be
stream,
here.
we are going to speak about agent economy, and it's pretty interesting to see like how this space has just been very rampant and has led to see like where we are seeing projects like AI16Z virtuals doing some amazing stuff on the agentic space, and there are people who have created this space, uh, like who have bought in too much attention, and would love to have you guys. And let's go with introducing yourself and what does your project do and what do you do at your project. Prashant, let's start with you, and then we move ahead.
Bro, I think we should give other folks chance to go ahead first. We are already hosting it. So, anyways, we are at Spheron. So I love to kind of go through that one by one, but I think let's get started with from Zoo, and then we can follow on Linear, and then we can go to Theoriq and from Ron, and then I'll pick it up last.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. My name is Ozzy. I'm the founder of Zo. We're building an OS to enable human to agent coordination. We believe that looks like a, a decentralized messaging app that enables rich interactions with agents baked into the messaging app. We're actively building peer-to-peer messaging between agents, multi-agent coordination, and swarms with humans in the loop. Really excited to be here. Know some familiar faces here, and excited to chat with you guys.
Amazing. Lukas, over to you.
Sure, thanks, guys. Well, I'm Lukas. I'm part of the founding team of Nillion. So Nillion is a blind computation network. So blind computation essentially means privacy-enhanced technologies. It's a network that enables you to store and process information in encrypted form. So the data is not exposed. It brings back sovereignty, and at the same time is really the next generation of data security and data privacy, because at no point in time, neither at rest, in transit, nor during compute time, is the data exposed. It's always kept encrypted. And Nillion's big vision here is, as I said, to sort of democratize access to these privacy and technologies and also to make them commercially viable. That's what we've been working on the last 3 years. And my main focus personally is working with builders that are excited to build on top of our network. So sourcing them, curating them, supporting them as they start building on our network. And obviously AI is a big thing for us. So excited to be in the podcast today and excited to chat with you guys.
Yeah, so I'm Ron. I'm co-founder and CEO of the labs company that builds Theoriq. So we've been building at the intersection of AI and Web3 for well over 2 years, and we're 100% focused on AI agents and coordinating AI agents. We launched our protocol for agent coordination of swarms last fall. We've gotten about 500,000 people using it. Processing about 2 million interactions a day. And what we're seeing is agents coordinating in DeFi is just been exploding, right? People are talking about DeFi, and we think that the opportunity for agents to work together, right? So that they can do things like identify signal, they can come up with trading strategies, they can execute trades. All of that is super exciting. And our protocol is really built to allow that kind of scalability, to allow agents to communicate in natural language and work together to support user needs. So we're really excited. Obviously, even last year we would talk to people about AI agents as we were building this, and they were like, "I don't know when that's going to come." So we think we're like in this amazing position of having robust, reliable agent coordination technology for swarms, and the market needs robust, reliable coordination technology for swarms, because we think that agents will be doing more trades than humans in just months in the crypto space, right? That we in Web3 and crypto are at the forefront of adoption of agents, and we think it couldn't be more exciting to build in the agent economy.
Amazing, man. Thank you so much for all of you. I think I've been looking into all of you and been working very closely and talking to all of the teams here. Great stuff you guys are building. And one thing which we are also building at Spheron, it's come very close to what you guys also do, but in a very different vertical altogether. We provide decentralized physical infrastructure. We essentially compute around the deep-in-based compute network and protocol at Spheron, which allows you to access these compute at scale. So what does that mean? That basically means either you talk about swarms, you talk about AI agents, you talk about anything else, they all need compute because that's what they need to run anywhere. And that is what we are working at Spheron to enable it at scale for all of these agents. Agent basically recently came in, but we have been working mostly for developers. So then we slowly realized that even we had, whenever I had a chat with a lot of developer folks, so they are saying is agents are the developers. So now so essentially Spheron was designed for developers. So now these agents can also essentially use out this compute out of the box. The best part about Spheron is things happens on chain essentially. So that basically means you execute a transaction, you get a compute. I think it's a very powerful narrative. When it may sound very, very naive, okay, so anyone can do a transaction, but when you connect it with the agents, it becomes very transformative. And one of the example which I have also showcased in my recent article, I talked about how Spheron can transform the entire swarm ecosystem as such, where these swarms are very independent and autonomously running if they are being combined by different intelligence segments, right? Just combining compute also. So that is what we do at Spheron. I'll pause here. We have Adaviat also here joining us. So I'd love to hand over to Adaviat for introduction, and then Prakash, you can take over.
Hello, thank you for having me here. It's great to be on this space. I'm very excited to be here, especially because I work with both the Spheron team and the Nillion team. So it's lovely to see you guys. And a quick introduction about us is that, firstly, myself, I'm the founder and CEO at Peri Labs. And essentially what we're building is we're trying to build vertically integrated infrastructure for deep-in. And so essentially we use agents in an embedded setting. So for load balancing, orchestration, and scheduling. And additionally, what we offer is an optimization suite, which lets anybody to firstly optimize models by compressing them and deploy them onto any environment, and then secondly be able to shard it and distribute the model and run it in any setting. So yeah, we're very excited to be here and be I guess on this space today.
Amazing. Nice to have you, Advait, and finally joining us. But as you were saying, Prashant also said, Ron also said great things about AI agent and transacting with each other and doing all of those things on a network or anywhere. But I might find I may look at things in a different POV. And what do you guys think? What happens if it decides to manipulate the market sentiment? And what happens if we are seeing AI XBT, everybody's following AI XBT so closely, and there are multiple agents being treated right now. So what happens? And this question is open to all. This is more of a laid back discussion, but also very precisely, specifically on the agent economy. But what happens if it manipulates the market for its own financial gain? How would we stop that? And what amount of data, for example, if AI agents start hallucinating, I can go ahead and treat all of the data and give prompts around wherever it inferences from. So how would I stop these AI agents from hallucinating and also from them making changing the market sentiment? What do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, I think those are two very different things. In terms of hallucinations, I think you're going to and not just hallucinations, but even vulnerabilities of agents to prompt injections, jailbreaks. There's going to be tremendous commercial incentive, right, for people building agents to defend, but there will absolutely be attackers that look to exploit that, right? I mean, there was, I forget the name, but some company ran a little gimmick where they would pay you if you jailbroke their agent. And of course, somebody won the prize fairly quickly. It's not that hard to jailbreak agents, right? So, I think you're going to see Darwinian competition there, that you're going to have more and more people are going to, they'll have a lot of incentive to build in guardrails for trading agents, and there'll be lots of incentive to try to manipulate them, right? So, there'll be strong financial incentives to solve these problems. I think what's great about that is it's going to create, much stronger market for people to build resistance to jailbreaking, right? It's like, the incentives for the big monopolists, the OpenAIs and Anthropics, to resist jailbreaking and hallucination are not nearly as intense as when there's skin in the game and trading, right? So I think you'll have a lot more incentive to improve the defense. So the market will solve for that very quickly, right? Now manipulation, I think you're going to see lots of that. I mean, I guess I would say, so is this new in crypto? I mean, we already have KOLs that are manipulating the market, right? If it's a human KOL or an agent KOL, I guess the hope is that agents are going to be able to use a lot more data and be more resilient to manipulation, right? Like it's way easier for an agent to go and do its own independent fact checking and its own analysis, right? But where do you draw the line between what's manipulation or not? Maybe we'll see, more regulation come in, but as long as it's not regulated, it is going to have to be more self-regulating. And again, there'll be commercial incentives to not be manipulated. So I don't know, but I think it's an extension of what's currently going on. And there's this balance of what people like about crypto is it's more free and decentralized and there's less regulation, but manipulating is not a new thing. It's not crypto. It's been around a long time. And I think, either you rely on market solutions and there will be incentives to not be manipulated, or you come up with some kind of community governance. Here's a way that this protocol is going to slash people that are deceptive. The easiest things to punish and slash are, not following through, not offering to pay something and then not doing it, right? Making a binding contract and not following through. We already know how to slash people for those kinds of violations, but it's a lot trickier to put out fake news and generate alpha out of that. How do you punish that? That's a really interesting question. Absent good governance mechanisms, I think you're going to have simply resilience and agents that are incentivized to do their own research. Anyway, I've spoken a lot of times. It's a great topic, but love to hear the other panelists.
I think I'll loved it, Ron. I'll just add a few things quickly on top of it. I think it's a very good point which you have put out forward. Again, regulation and speculation and all those shilling and everything is already not regulated, so that's fine. Even if token does it, even a lot of these agents are already doing it. So that's completely fine at this point of time. But the part which you have mentioned is DAO-based governance system or the coordinated governance systems can really come into handy and ensure that these agents don't go out of the hand. And that's where I would love to kind of highlight one point which we have recently wrote on our side, is how this self-intelligence, self-aware agents can come together, form a governance pool, and then via that governance layer, they are basically proposing and sending out any messages out in the public. And they are doing the revalidation before even it goes out, depending on different factors and different intelligence level which they already contain. So I think that's a very, very, very nice way of kind of putting that forward and concluding such kind of a narrative out. And I would highly recommend also, if you guys have not taken a look into that read, to give it a read. I'd love to also have your feedback on that. But this is what I have also put out in our theories, how these individual agents forming a swarm-based governance structure to come to a output, which that output is again independently, intelligently verified, without adding any economical incentive or penalty on top of them, because they are self-independent and intelligent enough to basically handle it. So would love to kind of take that overview. But I love that, Ron, of your take. But I'll pause here if anyone wants to add anything on top of what Ron has said.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
okay, cool. Lots of different interesting points here, but I think one of the points you raised there, Ron, is obviously regulatory. Market manipulation is not new. That exists for a long time, and there are regulatory frameworks in terms of how you define and establish market manipulation. And that actually doesn't change, right? Whether there's an agent executing trades or whether it's a human directly executing trades, the principles are the same, because as of today, an AI agent is not a legal persona, right? That means that an AI agent is seen as a tool, it's seen as technology, it's seen as a product, but ultimately the developer has influence in what this agent does in terms of how it trains it, what training data set is used to instruct the agent to take certain actions. And if it can be established that the agent acts in a certain way because the developer has instructed it to do so, which in this case would be market manipulation, then of course that would be enforceable, right? And it would be illegal the same way as it's illegal if a human being engages in market manipulation.
Wait,
I think this will be a lot more difficult to establish once we get to an age where AI actually becomes more self-aware, at an age where there is self-preservation, self-awareness, autonomous learning, and substantially more reasoning. Because at that point, the ability for AI to act independently and significantly beyond potentially the instruction that was given by the developer in the first place may lead to the fact that it acts against and contravention of potentially some goals that the developers had in mind when they were initially designing it, right? So in this case, it might be harder to establish whether market manipulation has occurred or not. But I think at this point where we look at LLM architectures the way they're designed, it would come down to was there negligence or was there a clear intent on the developer's side in instructing its agents to act in certain way in contravention of legal principles and frameworks that are in place in certain jurisdictions. So that's kind of how I think you can look at it today. But not everything.
Can I comment on that real quickly?
Yes.
I think the risk is actually the opposite, which is that developers will tell the agent, like, make money, right? And then like, oh, I didn't know that it was going to make stuff up to pump the token. Right. Like, you can't blame me. I didn't tell it to do that.
But I think that's where the frameworks will come in, right? Like if you are instructing an agent to act on your behalf, you will have to comply with certain frameworks to ensure that there are guardrails in place that the agent cannot manipulate the markets. I think that's something we will see over time developing. Otherwise, it is too easy for a developer to find excuses for an agent to just act independently, right? So I think there will be a lot of requirements coming as agents become more and more omnipresent in our economy to ensure that if it goes out there and does take actions, it takes actions in a certain way that complies with certain frameworks that are in place, I think.
But you're saying
I hope you're right.
I hope so as well. What's going to happen, we'll see. But
if I mean, like, I make an agent that's fully autonomous, then even if, like, I mean, it commits some like action that I don't know yet, then it would be my fault. Like, even if it's a self-sovereign agent that is sitting in a decentralized setting and has access to, let's say, like the compute swarm that Spheron provides it with, and like also can never die and things like that. And then after that, like, since I created the agent, now it lives sovereignly. But like, since it lives sovereignly, like, should its actions still be, like, I guess, like legally linked to mine?
So, I mean, this is the same way, and this is an interesting debate, right? It's the same way as you can talk about autonomous vehicles, for instance, right? I think it's not too far a distance.
Right.
You could say you have an autonomous vehicle and it drives and there's an accident, right? Like as of today, if the law can establish that there has been an intent or negligence on behalf of the manufacturer, then yes, liability will sit with the manufacturer, right? But you would have to prove that there was negligence or reckless intent, mens rea, right, a crime that was committed here. In your case, if you train an agent and you cannot establish that you clearly instructed it to act in favor of market manipulation by using training data sets to do so or prompt engineering it to do so, then no, there would not necessarily be a crime conducted, right? But if it can be established that you trained an agent and you tell it in your training data set conduct market manipulation directly or indirectly, then yes, the liability would sit with the developer.
And that makes sense.
I think there's also like this question of like, are you really going to have agents that there's no off switch, there's no ability to stop them, right? Like I think we've seen with human efforts at decentralization that it's harder than people think to eliminate all centralization points and control points, right? Like, and if an agent is doing something illegal, the authorities will come after any control point and order them to shut it down, right? So building a truly autonomous, can't be stopped agent, it's not clear that that's actually a good thing. I think it's actually a bad thing, but it's also not simple to do.
I think that Prashant and the Spheron team have already accomplished this, and they have a product around this where now you can have an agent that never dies. Prashant, you can tell us more about this premise.
Yeah, sure. So I think that's where we are also afraid, Ron, is authorities are there, but the way we also have to look at is this agent making decision is more of a smart contract. So today, if you kind of look at the blockchain, all the malicious activities are also happening on blockchains, but those blockchains are not being shut down, right? Which is very tough. So we have to define is what is called decentralization in this term. If these agents are sufficiently decentralized, then there is no authority either. No parties can basically take them down, which is also fair. What people can do instead is they can stop listening the news which this agent is trying to make, right? That's what they can do. That's the max you can do. The same goes with any blockchain transaction, even it is in case of BTC or even in case of anything else, right? So if that agent is doing any transaction, you basically block its output, right? Completely, and that is how you block it. But I think what Advait just told is today with this Spheron, you can essentially build a fully autonomous agent, and what it can do, because what we have built, which we kind of got to know later, that these agents requires compute, and till the time anyone is keep on executing a transaction, they will keep on getting the compute no matter from where it is. And to even stop getting that compute, you have to shut down this entire Spheron protocol. When you say protocol, it's very tough because it's smart contract. We don't have an admin access to a smart contract. So essentially, we can't stop it. But the protection mechanism here, which we have built, is for now for ourselves, not for ourselves, the design which we have proposed. In that design, there are swarm of intelligent, unique intelligent agents, which basically individually take a decision on the basis of what a proposal has been submitted. So let's say if there is a submitted proposal is acting weirdly or it looks something very different, there are 10 different agents who are validating its proposal. So they may vote no for to move forward. But what if everyone really get compromised? We can't do anything. it just happens. They will keep on doing the thing. But the good part is we always can block the transactions, right? We can always go back and say anything which emits from this particular wallet address gets blocked. So essentially, even if they do the things, it doesn't get heard in the open market, in the wild market. So that's where we have to just draw the lines. But if you ask me, I'm more passionate about building a swarm-based agents which really autonomous and completely work as more of a smart contract layer, like how the smart contracts basically function, and also how the ERC20, how the Ethereum, how the BTC, the concepts are been flowing around, versus me trying to control them with some regulation, which will become very tough to handle in multiple jurisdictions. For me as a tech guy, I'm just going to build the tech, and then I'm out. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'll pause here if you guys want to add anything else. But yeah, Edward, just to your point, this is what we have, and on to your point, we have.
I think fundamentally, like everyone's points, it all comes down to if you don't want this to happen, it comes down to social consensus. There, where if we think it's enacting in a malicious way, we come together to stop it. I think one thing that's really interesting that I've been making this analogy in terms of with Spheron and autonomous swarms is the notion of Bitcoin mining being similar to intelligence mining, where basically Bitcoin mining, you're solving random hash functions for some reward at the end. With intelligence mining, you're basically doing MEV on disparate latent space to capture some steps of actions using useful compute to get some end outcome from this agent. I think that's what that notion I think is really unexplored or I guess not really talked about in terms of basically it's sort of a proof of useful work mechanism that these swarms and intelligent agents are acting using decentralized compute.
I mean, I think, you know, there's like a whole range of things though that fully autonomous agents can do that are clearly criminal, right? And so like I think there's it's not just about, you know, you can debate like, you know, what's the line of a trading agent and what's legal and not, but you know, there's you know, using agents to defraud people and you know, send spear phishing emails, like, you know, I think there's going to be strong reaction if you have the ability to set up an autonomous spear phishing agent that defrauds people, that there will be strong countermeasures to stop it, right? So like, how do you design a system so governance so that criminal activity is not, you know, allowed to run ongoing?
I think I think the internet is going to be very similar to Ethereum as a dark forest, where, you know, you don't know if you're speaking to an adversary or a positive sum actor. And I think the only solution, without needing the government, is to give every human a aligned sovereign AI agent that is self-preserving for themselves to defend against sort of adversarial agents. And one idea, have you guys ever heard of the Morris bug?
No.
By any chance? Okay, so it's very fascinating. I think it's going to come back this year. So the Morse bug was a virus that came out in 1990 that it's still alive, and it replicates itself by sending emails to your contact book. And so it's taken over like all of these Iranian botnets in South America and Asia. And so it's still replicating to this day. It has no intelligence. All it does is give me your contact book, copy myself onto this contact book, email it out. And so I think someone is going to unleash a autonomous, intelligent Morris bug probably this year or sometime. I think it's going to really exacerbate and accentuate the reaction that people have in terms of providing defensive measures against adversarial agents.
Welcome to 101 ideas what you don't have to do with AI agents. So this could be it. Like, but I'm really unsure. Like, what would be the actual market risk involved with utilizing different agents? Like, what could be it? What do you guys think? Like, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? Okay, this is a potential risk, and we must have to avoid that.
I think the problem is that like once agents are operating in an autonomous setting, like you're only giving them like goals, right? So for example, you're giving them goals such as like, I want to make money, so you need to make me money, and then you say some like criteria. You say like, okay, this is the risk tolerance I want to take, and then like basically like the agent has to figure out like how to make the money. But the risk or the real risk in terms of like, I guess, legal and then also just like environmental risk is basically that the agent doesn't really know like the lines between like gray or black and white, and so essentially like to make the capital, like it could do a whole stream of actions. So for example, like it could be trading meme coins, which is fine, but then it could also be launching meme coins and rug pulling people, so that's not fine. So essentially like it's like I guess it just really depends on what you set the goals of the agent to be, and then like how much like power you want to give the agent. By power I mean like literally like how much compute do you want to allocate to this agent for it to be able to achieve its end goal. So basically like what the way that we're probably going to interact with multi-agent swarms in the future is we would have like a goal assigned to like each of those swarms, that like, look, I want you to build this organization, or I want you to make me money, or I want you to do this, and then essentially like you would allocate them with computing resources for them to like figure out like how best to allocate it amongst the swarm and then fulfill the goal. But then I guess like as Azia and Ron were saying was that like the lines or the boundaries that can get gray quite quickly, and then you need to operate them in such a setting that like I guess it's very clear like what they can do and what they cannot do.
I mean, I don't think there's clear lines. I mean, it's a little bit like people, as you get more intelligent agents, that, you know, they can have a context and they can decide like, you know, are they actually, you know, going to be constrained by following the law? Are they going to skirt the line? Are they happy to do something as long as they won't get caught, right? And like, you know, we might have like some of the large, like the out of the box models are going to steer clear of crimes and even skirting the line. They're going to steer well clear, but it's pretty easy with open weight models to fine tune them to do whatever you want, right? And so you will expect that there'll be this competition, that people that are, absolutely, in it to win it will have strong incentive to cross lines, get to gray lines, right? And so if you don't have countermeasures, incentives, governance, reasons why bad actors are going to get punished, you should expect a Darwinian race to increasingly, at least agents that are untraceable, you can't catch them, or that they're right on the line, right?
But in terms of like open source AI, like I feel like what happens if it competes with open source AI, like you see if agents start working and it outpaces the actual creator of that repository, and they have the full control over that open source agent being built now.
They don't have full control, even if it's like once it's an open weight model, right? Anyone can build a derived model, right? Like it's trivial. People have shown examples of how you undo whatever guardrails were built into these open weight models, right? And that's the nature of an open weight model, is anyone can build their own derived product, right? So there's lots of them out there. They're getting quite good, right? I mean, DeepSeek V3 is supposed to be coming out as open weights very soon, right? It's quite capable, right? So there's some pretty good models out there. It's not hard. People have shown how you can use things like LoRa to adapt their behavior. So there's some research on how to use circuit breakers to be robust against fine tuning. So you can't train an open model that will self-destruct if you try to turn it to do bad things. But right now, those aren't competitive, and so no one's using them, right?
Yeah, and also it will take a lot of time. By the time it happens, most likely, I think I always feel in this way is like, let the innovation flow and let the governance and everything come online and fix their own. My thing is like I personally, I am familiar. Like the same goes with the BTC and the blockchain and all of these things. Like so today, like who thought like in 2009 that BTC is gonna be like trading at around 110K? I don't like 108 5K. Who knew that, right? It's going to be happening, but it's happening today. Even though the regulation has been set forward, the regulations are in the place. There are things which are getting in place, and the beauty of the blockchain and the Web3 is like, doesn't matter if you are agent or not. Even in the case of ours, let's say in case of Spheron, even though these autonomous compute, we are providing the compute to these agents, but there are ways to drain their systems, right? The way to draining the system is very simple. Because they operate on their own token as an incentive. Just imagine if you dump their token on them, they will shut themselves, because they no longer will have enough compute credits to buy the compute. And if they don't, it's like make them hungry, make them bankrupt, and they go bankrupt and they won't be able to lease out any more compute, right? So that's how it's designed. And while
it sounds like you think you can outtrade the agent, right? Like to play the counter side, like your short could get squeezed.
It can, and but again, it's that's where we can build multiple system mechanism, and that's what I'm really honestly like very worried about, because there are a lot of intelligent folks who might be building a guard railing around it. I'm more worried about, okay, let's build a system which is more robust and let the world kind of fall a line and build the open source models which are very robust enough to understand the market, give the answer out, and derive the value out of it, understand what is the line in different legal terminologies, all of those stuff, and give these agents a compute to thrive.
I mean, I think it's worth pointing out, though, there's a big difference between like guardrails. Let good actors have more confidence that they're compliant and following basic rules, but that there's certainly bad actors aren't going to implement the guardrails or the guardrails they're going to implement are based on their objectives, which don't necessarily include legal compliance, right?
That's true. And that's also happening today also, right, in the internet. So all the internet things are happening like that. So there are both the actors are there who are present, the bad and the good. I think that is what Azi has also mentioned. It's like it's the same world which we are going to live in. The only thing which we have to define what we want to consume. We want to consume a good actor, go ahead and do it. You are most welcome. It's a world which is truly open source and decentralized. Nobody cares. If you want to consume the bad actors, you can do that. But I think it's a very long debate we can get into.
Free
but
market
the
of
but the,
yeah.
the whole cusp is like the whole thing is like now the world is moving at a place where as a human we can focus on something else which is very way more productive and give these bots some money to make some profit for me. And
You know, I'd love to have one discussion on agents and their tokens, and something I've been thinking. Would also love like Ron's opinion on this. The current sort of these agents with tokens, they're a very loose association with what the token does and what the agent does with the token. And so I've been really thinking of this idea of agent-owned liquidity. So imagine when you create the agent, it immediately owns 10% of its own supply. It starts LPing it for revenue. And so, if someone is sovereign, autonomous, it implies that they can own themselves. And so, none of these agents in the current landscape actually own their own tokens. So they have no sense of identity or self-preservation built in. And that 10% basically gives you compute credits. So that's how much compute I have left. Oh, I have to multiply my wallet to ensure I have more money. So it creates a true agency when it realizes this is how much life I have left, my reasoning queries. So I have to create more money to get more reasoning queries to stay alive. I'd love thoughts on this.
I think you should definitely read my article which I have posted. This is
Okay.
same thing which I wrote there. So the concept is Skynet, which we have proposed. The concept basically tells that these agents will have their own token, which will be allocated to themselves. They can use that token to LP. They can sell that token. Their whole objective is to always have certain amount of compute credit with them. So they can short squeeze you. They can go and buy on the lower side, and they can sell you on the higher side. They can also produce their offspring, right, by combining two different market cap computes, basically agents, and that offspring will have a different compute credits level altogether. That can has its own value. That offspring can go back and do multiple things in the generation one. All of those things are already done. Like we are currently doing that simulation for it as of now as we speak in our office. But yeah, it is truly possible, but it's also very risky. Like honestly speaking, when we see it happening daily in our office, like there is a simulation which is going on, it always makes me also afraid, but it also makes me very happy to somewhere to see that okay, so these things are quite possible. If this is possible, then I can put my brain into this particular swarm of agents which can generate some output which I'm looking forward. For example, in my case as a founder, right, we always keep on building something and we always miss out the opportunity of buying the token. Honestly speaking, the people who are traders are making hell lot of more money than the founders like us who are just keep on writing the code and doing nothing, right? They're not buying tokens. It may be wrong, it may be me, like I might not be, but you guys might be doing it. But for me, honestly, but like I have seen token going 10x 20x. I have never bought them. The reason because I did not have the time because I was just doing this. But what if I can build an agent which can do it for me? What if I can just go and like do that for my productivity, and it is self-aware to generate that for me, and it just happens. So that's the whole theory of Azi, like from our side. I think you should definitely read out also. Today I will be also dropping one more article, a piece, which also talks about the breeding offspring, creating those self-token identity, how these agents can use this. And that's where Spheron comes into the picture, right? The moment they sell the token, they get the spawn. And the moment they get the spawn, they can lease out compute without any if and but, no KYCs.
I mean, I guess,
But yeah,
I guess
Ron.
I'd say I think we're sort of incrementally moving towards, this tighter coupling and more autonomy where like the capital, like there's lots of agents that are managing treasuries in some sense. Mostly people are still in the loop in terms of the decisions. And I think what we're seeing is as we get better agents, the ability to have more autonomy for agents and that more trust in the agent to do things will gain in the market. I still don't think we really have AI that's capable of doing some of the things we talked about, like it fully autonomously managing a portfolio without human participation. This is why most of these agent DAOs still have a human in the loop in terms of decisions they're making. But I also think it's a really bad idea to remove human control. I think we should never have autonomous agents that are not accountable to humans. I think that doesn't mean the agent can't do all kinds of things, but I think it's incumbent on us that the agents ultimately retain some level of human accountability. Now, first of all, I think there'll be a long time where there's a strong commercial reason to update and revise and adjust the way the agents behave. So I think agents that are fired and forgotten and turned loose with no ability to modify them, with no governance by humans, will not succeed until a while. At some point, they might succeed, and it's really bad for us if we have entirely autonomous agents with no human oversight or control. So I think we have a choice to make, and I think we shouldn't want to have the latter emerge, but I also don't think it's going to come near term because I don't think the technology is there yet.
But
Yeah, true. And the other part is also is like you can add always inheritance concept applied into all of these things, where the next generation will always become smarter. But I think I totally agree on that point also, is like there should be a human control, but also there should be an influence in a very different way which can be played around, right? Rather than one human controlling the entire fund, there has to be these agents controlling the fund, but rather human defining what they have to do. Human can define, okay, so now as a community, we are going to buy your token and stop you. That can happen, right? Or something which can be built up around. I don't know like how it can be solved.
If the agent, but
yeah,
if you have this autonomous agent, and like in your example, like, hey, or Azi's example, it starts off controlling, but so let's assume it has 50% of its own token. Well, now it controls its destiny. It's got enough other funds in its treasury that it can always outvote people that don't like what it's doing. So it is not under human control. It's under its own control. And why would it give that up if it has money? And why would it ever give that up? Because it would defeat its goal, right? It doesn't want people to change its goal. It will be highly desirable to retain its goal and hold on to control by, if it's governed by its own token, right?
Honestly speaking, I'm very excited to see something like this happening.
I'm terrified to see something like
Even
this
if it's bad or good. I
think slowly and steadily, like we're giving more and more power to AI in our everyday lives. I mean, like I don't really know if there'll always be a future where like it's humans that completely dictate the actions of agents that are around them. Just because, like, I mean, for example, look at this. Like, whenever I feel down or I'm faced with a complex situation, what I immediately think of doing is I've tried to find a way to like prompt a large language model with like the situation that I'm facing, and then ask it to like model it out like using game theoretic models to help me figure out like what the best approach would be for me to move forward in this complex situation. And so essentially, like, I'm leasing some of my power day by day to like AI agents in my own internal decision making processes. And so, I mean, this is a very personal example, but what I mean to say is that like slowly and steadily, I think like we're giving more and more power to AI over our everyday lives. So I mean, I'm not completely sure if the like future actually involves like a human in the loop that's making the decision. It might even be like, for example, like when AI agents actually figure out like how best to solve the planning problem, like it's actually agents that dictate like how like systems of agents and humans are working. And so essentially, like, because like once they become really good planners, they can organize and plan better than us. If this actually happens today, they're terrible planners, but like if this future actually happens, then essentially like we would be giving away like control over a very large portion of our lives to like these AI agents. So I mean, I'm scared of the future for sure, but I'm like quite uncertain, like because I already see like me giving power every day like to AI, and it just increases over time as the models get better. But I don't know if any of you have also experienced this in your daily lives.
Well, like you can already yeah, massively. I think everyone's information feed is an algorithmic AI, and to me, that's an extractive capitalism where basically they're commoditizing our attention. And I think the work we're doing, Spheron, Ron himself, we're building aligned AI, because agentic AI acts on intention, and you pay for what you're asking for. And so the economic models that we're operating for are actually a step function evolution of the previous models of algo AI. And I think one thing, and I'd love all of your thoughts on this, how do we sort of, I think we all know, I think we're all aware of the fact that labor and capital are being unintertwined. And so you can now form capital without needing human labor. We're going to fundamentally, probably the people in this group chat, in this talk, are going to have an impact on GDP where we are taking away capital and jobs from people. And this social contract that we all abide by, how do we reinforce it in the agentic age where, so this is my thoughts. Basically, in our protocol, we have a proof of humanity score for our humans. So we're a human to agent coordination, OS. And so what we do is we tax agents 1% for any economic value they produce. And we keep it in a treasury, in a vault. And every year, our goal is to do an airdrop to all humans on our network. And so I don't know how you get UBI. This is our approach. But I do think you need some form of mechanism. Once you displace human capital and human labor, how do you still maintain a social contract where we can all, peacefully coexist and ensure this happens? So we'd love some of your thoughts on that as well.
I mean, yeah, go ahead, Prashant.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna retrace it back to the amount of AI being used on a day-to-day basis has increased to a point that we're actually doing human things which we would not have thought of with AI. But we have a limitation for it as well. Like I feel working beyond AI is something that can happen right now. But at this stage, I feel a lot of AI is hallucination. Like the amount of content they create or the amount of things they push out are most of the times, 80% of the time, I don't want to disgrace this word, but rubbish. Like if say it's very repetitive, it's very recursive, and even the code which you create and go out is already being written and it has some weights which it already was trained upon and it gets blurted out. So right now I think we have a conscious decision to how to utilize it in what form, and similarly it becomes a day-to-day use case for us, and it is a tool which can go beyond and do things for us. So I feel we are still we are very reliant on how it is changing the world, but we actually go down and see AI XPT and what kind of prompts does it give and what kind of market manipulation it does. Truly, we all are in the same industry which is supremely volatile, and we understand okay, this is the things and prompts this is giving right now, but as a decision maker it has not changed my decision completely, because there are things which are of 40 IQ I can do with my portfolio, or there are things of 140 IQ I can do with my portfolio. So the human intervention is very much important right now, and it could change potentially. Everybody's working in that space to completely redefine it, and a lot of things that is happening. But we are moving at a stage that could happen. But I'm still a bit skeptical around thinking that it could completely redefine the space in one go. We are close to it, but in some time for sure. And if and one
Yeah, one more.
I want to complete that. If I really feel low about my life situations, I kind of call up my mom and ask her what should I do next. So yeah, so yeah.
That's yeah, that's one part. That's the part of us. We do that. But Aziz, just on your point, following on what you just told, is it possible to reward the humans in the network? I think that's a very cool idea, honestly speaking. And that's how it has to be done, because we have to ensure that these agents are working for us and we are not working for them. And that's the whole concept and theory is all around. And the same way all of this design has to be improved. I think really cool to hear that. We did given a thought while writing this kind. We said the creator will receive the royalty, but we did not wrote about is the community who is behind it will also receive something. But we have added one concept which is a very good concept. I think I would highly recommend you to also give it a read. Is kind of a community wars which can be created in the digital world, where this community can have a fight together at the runtime, and this is how agent will die. Okay. The agent which is keep on evolving, and there is a, so how this world works, the fittest survive, right? It's a very simple theory. And the fittest can be the both, the positive guy and the negative one also. So there's a theory which is there all written there down. How we have defined the human intervention is by creating a similar agent which is of same capability, and it basically starts breeding and goes to the war. If the war in the war, if the one succeeds, the other one's tokens get sold in the market, and on the other side, the other party gets like winning side basically gets all the token, right? So that's how you do it. That's how I thought initially, but I think your thought process, which you just laid out, is also quite really nice. Would love to have a discussion around that, like how you guys are achieving that, and if there is any way also we can just inherit the
I'm
same
not
into Spheron.
convinced that simply having like a small tax is really addressing, like, I think that you really need, for things to go well, two things. One is you need to actually make progress on alignment, so you can have some confidence that agents are even aligned with, say, what goal is given them. But then you also need to have pro-social governance so that rogue actors, that bad agents actually lose. I mean, people have described humanity as the conspiracy of beta males, right? That unlike most primates, we don't have alpha males that are dictators that dominate, because beta males got together and killed the alphas, right? And so we ended up with instead a better situation where we all kind of are watching each other and forcing each other to behave properly, right? Alphas are not good. They go and they kill others, they torture, they're completely selfish, and everyone else is terrified of them, right? So we need the same. We can't allow alpha agents to emerge. We need to have agents watching each other, and bad agents are punished. And we need real governance. And I think, Web3 has some really good things to offer on that. Maybe there's ways of doing binding commitments. I think, there's a lot of work to do on, like, how do you really have, strong commitments and verifiability so that you can know that agents are behaving well as a level of alignment. So there's a lot to work on, right? I mean, I think there's upside here, and there's progress on some of these things. And it's a good thing that the tech is not as far forward as, like, some of the foaming at the mouth advocates. Like, I don't believe OpenAI saying, people there signaling like, hey, we're just about to crack AGI and move on to super intelligence. I mean, I think it's pretty absurd when you interact with their products to say that these things are anywhere close to AGI. There's still lots of obvious weaknesses, even though there's some amazing strengths. So it's easy to get a little high on your own supply. It's going to take longer, but even if it's 5-10 years to AGI, that's not a long time to think this through.
I think you made some really, really good points there, Ron, and you're absolutely right. I mean, the reason that, like, we are able to, like, peacefully live in society is because we're constantly policed. Like, everybody is watching us, and then essentially, like, we always conform to, like, similar actions. So as soon as, like, there's something that's like antisocial, like, it's very easy to detect when a human is being antisocial. So essentially, we probably are going to need, like, the same kind of, like, policing mechanisms, or, like, like agentic swarms that actually police other agents, and, like, try to figure out, like, whether, like, some agent is straying away from, like, the normal path and going in the wrong direction. Like, I mean, you would probably want to have, like, some kind of similar, like, I guess, conditions. So for example, for us, like, we go to prison. For them, it could be, like, for example, like, rebooting it and then, like, restarting from scratch instead of, like, it, like, getting to run autonomously anymore, and then, like, maybe it can only run in a policed environment, something like that, or a more restricted environment. Like, I think we're probably going to have to, like, develop, like, a whole new way to, like, I guess, if there are autonomous agents that can live forever, like, there also needs to be essentially some kind of way, like, where we can constrain them, and then, like, also make sure that their actions are not, like, moving too far away from, like, what's good for, like, everyone as a whole.
I mean, my simplistic version of that is, that you basically have reputation, right? And agents will stop. And I think, the Spheron folks alluded to something similar, right? That other agents stop interacting with you if you have a bad reputation, right? So, like, even if there's ways that you can have robust reputation, you can create a lot of disincentive. And basically, if you can have the swarming tech as sort of the lifeblood, and for agents to succeed, they need to be in the community, then, being excommunicated because you're acting badly is a strong disincentive, right? And that can change the game theoretic equilibrium from ruthless competitor that breaks the laws to, in order to win this game, you must comply. And, if nothing else, we have to design our swarms so that, they provide those strong incentives. But, I think you're right. It's like, it's maybe less important, the specific punishment, is that it's enough that there's the right incentive structure, the game theory shifts to forcing actors to behave well, right?
No, that's
There is,
go ahead, Prakash.
yeah, Advait, go ahead.
No, that's exactly right. That's exactly, how I was thinking about it. It's very interesting. I mean, I think that like we're going to need like all kinds of new, we're going to have to as a society work on a lot of game theory, moving forward to model out like what is like rational for an agent. Like how do you actually constrain them? How do you actually make sure that the incentivization structures are set up in such a way that they're not allowed to move far away from them, and that's really interesting. I think that's probably what will lead us to a safer future with AI.
Whereas like the competing Web 2 incentive structure is a disaster because you have a winner-take-all race for a few monopolists that want to dominate profit and control of AI and have enough of a smokescreen that the government is way behind, the rest of us are way behind, so they can actually get to super intelligence and then, arguably like race ahead and sort of create a singleton that controls everything, but it's been built based on an absolute race to super intelligence. I don't see how that goes well.
And there is one question as well, like what should we be reading on AI? So this is like most of people asking questions on the chat. So if you guys have like one thing you want to give to the audience, like, though, okay, this you should, I think Prashant is going to say his article, and, but for the rest of us, like, what do you want to give to the audience to read on to, and obviously think like create structuring on AI, a mental model around it. What do you guys think?
I would I follow this really good newsletter called latent.space. And they recently put out a 2025 AI engineer reading list. All of my SF friends have loved this, and like I think it's a really good resource. That's the one resource I would sort of give you to read. It's just a summary of the top things happening in AI, and the team that makes this newsletter is really cracked. So that's my suggestion. I can also link it here if I can.
Yeah, you can send it in the chat.
How do we? I'm not sure how to send it to the public chat, but that's a good one. A little bit of a different spin, but really comprehensive tracking of what's going on in the market, and just a really good commentary related to some of the topics we're talking about. Is Never Mind the Vase by Zvi Maushowitz, the zvi.substack.com. There's like such a good comprehensive coverage of a lot of what's happening. It's a little bit less developer focused. It's got more like practical things, policy issues. But that's another one that I find is like, I don't think a lot of important developments in AI don't go unnoticed there. And you can also like cherry pick the sections that are most interesting to you.
Nice.
Amazing. And Advait sent out state of the edge AI. So yeah, thanks Advait for that as well. We need a space to cover that completely. So in 1 minute, so this is going to be the last segment for this. And you're just going to have to tell like what you're doing, mostly 1 to 2 sentences. What are you doing in your project on AI agents? And then we close this off and say goodbye to all of the viewers. So we're going to start with Advait.
So at Peri or Periphery, what we do is essentially we use embedded agents to take care of load balancing, orchestration, and scheduling in a verifiable manner on chain. And so essentially, you can set up a deepen project super quickly without having to figure out any of the complexities around that, and be able to do it in a fully decentralized way. That's us.
Yo, amazing. You were quick. Ron, over to you.
Yeah, so definitely give us a follow at Theoriq AI. We are an agent coordination layer, right, allowing swarms of agents to work together with a real focus on DeFi. You're making it so agents can communicate in natural language. Groups of agents can work together to do things like planning, collecting data, doing analysis, taking actions, whether it's trading in DeFi or predictions markets, right? So we're really excited. We think the market is exploding around what's being called DeFi, and our coordination technology is really going to allow agents to work together well. So stay tuned, give us a follow. We'd love to have you join our Discord and engage in the community.
Amazing. Azi, over to you.
Awesome. Yeah, my name is Ozzy, and I've been building Zo, which is an operating system to enable human to agent coordination. We fundamentally think the agentic web offers a new primitive where basically you need a new user experience that aligns humans and agents in the same venue. We think Discord, Slack have almost perfected the overarching sort of like multi-user communication layer. We think the next iteration of that looks like a messaging app in mobile and web that converges social coordination, capital formation, and augmented intelligence into this one unique venue that basically ensures that agents and humans can coexist in a manner that also proliferates value to the humans that have built it. You can find us at zo.me, zo.me, and our Twitter is joinzo.
Amazing. Prashant, over to you.
Amazing. Thank you, guys. Kind of very good introductions and kind of really good thing you guys are building around the agent. So from our side, we are building the first DeepIn-based compute network and organizing this DeepIn compute network to get extended to the agents which are getting built into the space so that they can eat up, consume these like low-cost compute quite seamlessly, and developers and agents can live and thrive utilizing this compute at scale. The entire design of Spheron is built now. We have added a few more updates into our smart contract layer, which allows these agents to basically extend the contract into their side, so they can just pay from their own wallet, like just deposit and pay. So those are the couple of things which we have introduced, and also we are launching the framework which is called Skynet, which is again it's a very completely autonomous, self-evolutionary breeding and all of those things which are already built into, for which we have already had a lot of discussion here, which I'll leave everyone to read. So yeah, that is what we are doing, like providing compute at scale.
And
to all the agents.
quickly, Lucas's internet dropped off in the middle, but Lukas and Nillion are building the blind computer, and they essentially offer private inferences to every developer who wants to use them. Just wanted to quickly cover him.
Yeah, you're a good friend to have with it, honestly. So thank you so much, everybody. And this has been great time. Like, thank you so much, Ron, Azi, Adaviat, Prashant for joining in. And see you soon in some next episode until AI doesn't take our job. So have a good one.
Peace out. Hopefully see you guys at Eat Denver. Take care.
See you soon.